you. All right, friends, if you're just now clicking in, this is Anna Marie from Just Stamp. Today we are stepping up the card making with Autumn Amber. Here's my pretty card. Yeah, this card, it's a wow card, but it's actually easier than it looks. It's going to have your friends thinking, wow, she made that. And yes, she did. This is perfect if you already have some tools or if you just like that extra special layering. So let's see if I can get any closer so you're not looking at my total desk here. Trying to adjust for you, and so sorry if my hands are getting in the way. There we go. All right. And I'm sorry if I'm making you dizzy. All right, let's see if I can get in here. Perfect. So here is the card we're making today. We are starting with that new Amber Autumn bundle. It is in the new Holiday Mini. Has coordinating dies for cropping, and I must say this requires the standard size cut and emboss machine. We are going to be creating on basic beige cardstock, and I'm using a small swatch of DSP from the Timeless Plaid paper pack. And let's see, those are the basic things we're going to need. We're going to need an extra sheet of basic beige. The card base, again, this is a standard size card base, so that means it's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I am going to just fold it and burnish it. And I have done a couple of things in advance, just so I don't keep you too long today. The next thing we're going to add is this intricate layer created with the die from the Amber Autumn Suite. So the die set has, let's see, 5 dies. This is the beautiful intricate die, and it helps layer. It creates the overlay for the card, and I've got a couple of tips for you. So one, these intricate dies sometimes require a little bit of treatment. You can run your die through with some wax paper underneath. That'll allow the cardstock to release from the die. Also, with these intricate dies, it's great if you can adhere some adhesive sheets. That means gluing or sticking this layer on is going to be less messy and a lot easier. And one more thing, once you have die cut it through the machine, use your die cut brush and sponge to release all of the extra pieces, all of those things that need to drop out. Now, I still have a few pieces in here, but no worries. Here's the great thing about using the adhesive sheets. When you pull off the adhesive, so it's got the backing, this is going to actually pull all of those extra die, all of those pieces, and hopefully this will cooperate with me. Let's try pulling it from the corner. There we go. Maybe that's the key. Start from the corner. And we're pulling out all of those extra little die pieces. And I put 2 strips on this layer just to secure it down to the card base. There's a couple of tricky pieces there. Tricky spots, I should say. There we go. Yeah, this is really helpful to do this. So 3 things: the wax paper, the adhesive sheet, and that die brush and sponge. And I'm going to focus on placing this right in the center. So the die cut layer is about 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. The other trick with that die brush and sponge is, did you notice I put in a little box? That's so I have all of the extra pieces right in the box. It doesn't make for a messy desktop. It flows a lot easier. Okay, so we've got this layer, and the layering adds a more professional look without a lot of effort, right? So you've got this gorgeous layer in the background there. Next, we are going to add a small contrasting strip of designer series paper. This is a small swatch from, again, the Timeless Plaid pack. It's about 3 7/8 by 1 1/4, and I am going to add that with just a little bit of adhesive. My favorite is the liquid glue, and sometimes it doesn't cooperate. That's because I need to just use my little tool. It's a fancy tool called a paper clip, and I'm going to pull out that little clot that was in there. So I see I have some friends joining. Thank you so much for popping in today. I love it when others can join me live. I know it's not always possible. All right, I'm going to put this pretty much in the center, or actually not the center, a little bit above center, and I'm just going from border to border. There we go. So we've got a nice little background going on there. I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to show you what I stamped and how I colored it. So the stamp set includes that beautiful oak leaf and acorn stamp. We are going to be stamping that in Memento Black. And let's see if I can put, we're going to use just basic white. And anytime the stamp is a little bit large, I like to flip it over and stamp from the top. That just helps me see that the entire area is inked up. So I'm going to stamp down. I got a nice inking, and what I'm going to do next is color, and one of the ways to color is to watercolor. So you could use color pencils, you could use Stampin' blends, you could just not color, you could just stamp, maybe heat emboss, and add your color. I love watercoloring, especially since Stampin' Up just released the watercolor brushes to us. They come in a package of 3, and these are my faves. I'm just pushing down that corner, that layer. I see it's not cooperating. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to grab my pellet. I am going to stamp down. I'm going to press down on a little tiny block. This is block A, which used to be available, no longer available, but I have quite a few of these, and I love to use them. Oh my goodness, I have Carolyn from upstate New York. Welcome. I'm so happy that you can join on this Friday afternoon. So I don't know if you noticed that. There's a water barrel at the top of the brush. I squeezed it to add a couple of drops of water to that block, and I'm just going to lay down some color. And here's the thing, friends. Don't stress. We're not going for imperfection. Handmade means heart made. So it's not perfect. And especially with watercoloring, you don't have to go up to the lines. You don't have to be fussy about it. It's just an overall wash of color. At least that's the style of artist I am. And you can see how fast I'm going along. I am using Old Olive for my leaves, and I'm using only the 3 colors. I'm using Pecan Pie, Peach Pie, and Old Olive. And there you go. Now the other thing I should have at the ready is a little paper towel or tissue, and that's just to kind of squeeze the color off. I'm going to lay that right there. Then I'm going to move on to another color, if I can find my blocks. Here we go. Let's do our peach, and the peach is the underlayer of the acorn. And so I'm opening that up, pushing down to grab my color. And I'm repeating what I did with the green. I'm going to give a little squeeze, add some water directly to the block, and I'm just going to lay down a very watery layer of the peach. That's simple. I'm going to squeeze and get that color off my brush, bring in my Pecan Pie, and grab another block, get my palette maybe a couple times. And this one is the acorn cap. Now, the only thing you need to be cautious of with the watercoloring is that you don't apply too much color. There's a little line between too much and not enough. Right now, that's not enough color for me. What I want to do is apply it in layers. So I'm going to bring that in, and then I'm going to pick up again, not with so much water, a little bit more color. And I agree, I totally agree. The watercoloring is so soft and pretty, and I do enjoy blends and colored pencils, but there's just something about the watercoloring that makes it look artistic, I think. It just allows you a little bit more freedom not to color perfectly, and I'm always game for that. Remember, perfection is not required here. So I did my stems, I did my cap, and I'm going to come in now and round out the acorn. A little bit more intensity. What I was waiting for was that layer of peach pie to somewhat dry. Remember, I said you can't have it too wet. There we go. I'm happy with that so far. And here's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to move that pecan pie aside. I'm going to bring back my old olive block, and I'm going to add the detailing on the leaves. So that just means all of those shadow areas or the darkened areas that are evident in the stamping, I'm going to put a little bit more of the color, and you want to do this in layers. Otherwise, your paper will just get too wet. All right, my friends, I'm all about sharing the tips. I learn the hard way sometimes, all the time. And again, if I can do this, anybody can do it. I have very simple style. I know that. I know of lots of card makers that are just amazing artists with watercolors and other mediums, but I like a pretty card, and I like to call it done. And then the most important thing is to get the card in the mail. So stamp it, write your little note, stamp it again with postage stamp, and get it in the mail. So stamp, write, stamp. There we go. And I'm just kind of adding in, there we go. So every image is going to look a little bit different. So I could blend in, there's a couple of little areas that are darker, but it's okay because leaves would have darker areas as well. And you can do as little or as much detailing as you like. So you're going to want this to dry, and I didn't want to have to delay too long, so let me tidy up here, move some of these things out of the way. I do have a pre-colored one, and I pre-die cut this because the die set does have an outline die for this stamped image right there. So there's 5, I said that earlier, the detailed layer, 2 outline stamps, and then a couple of little embellishments like the greenery or the things that make your bouquet blossom. So we've got our focal point here, and here's what I'm gonna do. I am going to go ahead and put that on my card. I'm gonna go with dimensionals. So let me grab some dimensionals. I'm gonna try to stay more towards the center for now because I'm gonna be tucking in my little greenery, and I wanna be able to place them without bother. So a few little dimensionals, and I do like the minis. They get into those spots where the standard size don't quite fit, or you have to start snipping. The minis just seem to work better for me. Oh, Carolyn says simplicity makes elegant cards. I totally agree that I like it simple, but that doesn't mean it looks simple. It's like Carolyn said, it's elegant. There we go. So I love that. I'm next going to stamp a little greeting. So I'm going to bring in another piece of the basic beige. This one is about, I think it's about 7/8 wide. Let me see. Yes, 7/8 wide. And the reason I'm going for that size is because it's the perfect size for the Autumn Wishes greeting. I'm going to take a little sip. Did you notice my Halloween cup there? Oh, my Scotty Halloween cup. There we go. Perfect. I love my black coffee. Okay, so I'm going to ink up again with the Tuxedo black ink pad. And I'm going to try to, let's see, I might need to bring this down a little bit more so I can make sure that I'm straight. Autumn Wishes, pressing down. There we go. Now I'm going to bring in my snips and I'm going to create my little banner. I like those little dovetail edges. And I like to achieve them just with my paper snips. Come in about a little over 1/8 of an inch right in the center, and then go from corner to center, and then corner to center. Looks like I need to go just a little bit more. There are punches that do this, but so do your snips. And again, and this way. And again, if you are wanting the written instructions, I will be creating the PDF tutorial and posting it so that you don't have to sweat. Plus, you can rewatch the video at any time. All right, now we are going to add our greeting. We're going to put dimensionals on this as well at the right. At the left, because the acorn image is already popped up on dimensionals, I am going to just use some of my liquid glue to attach the greeting, right like so. I'm going to bring it in right like so. And I see, oh yay, my friend Sandy has joined. Good morning, good afternoon. All right, we are going to be doing a little bit more decorating here. Remember I said there are a couple extra dies in the set. So I've cut a couple of these little one's a leaf and one is like a little greenery. And I have pre-done them. But let me tell you how I did these, because I didn't want old olive or mossy meadow greenery. I went ahead and I watercolored a small scrap of basic white. So it looks like a mess, right? But you put those die cuts on here, and this is what you get. Some very pretty leaves to embellish. They look very delicate, and here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and add them. Now, I like to slip them behind. Just like with flower arranging, I say this all the time, just like with flower arranging, you get the main part done and then you fill in with all your little stems. I'd like to do it with glue dots. So let's pop these in where I want, or where we want. We're going to go ahead and add one towards the top and then one down here, and we are going to need to secure it. Oh, did I mention on this particular die there are two pieces to it? Do you see how that center vein will pop out? You can pop it out, and you can actually attach it to some of the designer series paper that coordinates with this stamp set. This one I'm going to leave in, and you're going to see there's going to be one that doesn't get left in. So I kind of like it there. I did too. So the other one I'm going to bring to the bottom, and just like so. And then look at that one. This one I lost that center area, and I am totally good with that because I like the difference there. I like the variety. I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to bring in my mini glue dots, secure those down. I'm going to use my take your pick tool, and I'm just going to be gentle with these little stems. Pop that underneath. This way you don't need to keep removing, and of course once you remove it you can never get it back in the spot that you liked, right? So the trick is to not even remove it at all. And we've got that coming through. Now, I hope that you can stay till the end. I've got some alternative projects, some that I shared on the blog, and then a couple of others. Like I said, I've been playing with this little bundle all week, Amber Autumn. It's one of my favorite in the new mini. And let's see, I have some more finishing touches though, so don't have an opinion yet. All right, let's keep going here. Let's see my embellishments. I am going to add some of these pretty antique pearls. I believe they're called, yes, antique pearls. And they come in like 3 sizes. They have a beautiful sheen to them. I'm going to grab 3, so 2 towards the top. And the idea is to make like a triangle with them. And I kind of like them a little bit closer together, a little bit of distance on some. See what I'm doing? So there's my 2 together. And I'm going to complete that triangle with one of the larger ones, one of the larger embellishments down here at the bottom. So I've got my triangle going on, and I worked in 3s. That's one of the other keys to adding your embellishments. Not a strict rule to follow, but it's helpful. So there we go. Easier than it looks, right? I think it's so pretty. What do you think? But wait, I have alternatives for you. Some of the other cards that I've created. Let me bring over my little basket here. Put that to the side. Here is my simple, and some of it maybe not so simple if you're not into fussy cutting. If you don't own the die machine, you can always fussy cut. But this is a very simple card, not a lot of tools and supplies required. I've got another one here that showcases that beautiful new embossing folder. Oh, thank you. I'm seeing that you like my cards. That's awesome. So pretty. Blessed to have you in my life. Oh, that's just heartfelt, right? That's the thing about these greetings. Did we talk about grateful for you on this one? Just so heartfelt. Here's another one with that wood style background. This is part of the coordinating paper, all of these layers. And I have popped up a gold foil die here. You do need the die machine to cut that. Here is one. Oh, this is a sneak peek for those who might be attending my bingo and card class this weekend. We are making this pretty thank you card, again with the Amber Autumn, but this time we're using the other focal point stamp, those pumpkins in the gourd. And this showcases another embossing folder. This actually goes with the Peace on Earth suite, and a little bit of sanding on that 2-tone paper. And still another, a pretty thank you card again that has both the folder and the DSP, also called pattern paper or designer series paper. And then my last one. So this one is a case from my dear, kind, and wonderful friend, Sandy, that quad panel Z-fold. She gifted me a beautiful card, and it's just amazing. And I think I'm fairly confident the pattern comes from Sue Campfield, who's just an amazing card maker with all of her great fun folds. So there you have it. But here's my wild card for the day. And you saw how easy it was. From simple beginner cards to wild cards with this Amber Autumn. It is an amazing bundle. And remember, sometimes the joy of crafting is just as much fun for you as the recipient. Every time you stamp a card, you're creating a connection. So I hope that you make sure you're connecting this autumn. If you loved today's projects and you want to create your own, you can grab my Amber Autumn bundle over on my online store. I'll put a link at the top. And don't forget, let me know in the comments. Do you prefer simple cards, stepped up cards, or wow fun folds? I would love to hear from you. Also want to know your favorite of the alternatives that I shared with you today. All right, my friends, until next time, make a card, send a card, and make someone's day. Thanks so much for joining me.